Okay, time to start tearing apart the steps yet again. So this week it's step 2, and came to as I opened up the book and everything. So came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So this kind of, in a sense, is starting to set us up to get us dependent on AA itself. As my cat wants to join in. Yes. So hey, look, here's the power greater than myself, the cat. So I got like a power greater than myself that'll restore me to sanity. So with step 2, it's beginning of kind of setting, like I said, setting us up for that dependency on AA. And so like we're gonna have to like only in subsequent steps and everything, like with this, only God can help us and everything. So like and I've stated before in other videos that we need to kind of get religion out of mental health. So like you wouldn't go to like a Jewish temple to get medical treatment for your schizophrenia. You wouldn't go to an Islamic mosque to get medical treatment for your depression or your anxiety. So why are we going here to this religious cult? As you see, you'll see in these steps where you pretty much have to get under a sense of God control and put yourself under His control, and like, hey, look, you have to, in essence, for your alcohol or drug use disorder, you have to placate that your mental illness or your mental disorder into like religious control and everything. So like this is in essence why you want to get your like religion out of mental health. So this is the step, like I said, and I'll reiterate that like it sets you up to pretty much become dependent. Like so step 1, oh man, I'm totally powerless, I'm totally worthless, and like it beginning to like set you up like for first step. When you finally get to the point where you're like in a sense susceptible to being like influenced very easily, you're just starting to come off like your alcohol or drug binge or whatever, and you're starting to like, hey, look, I finally need to get getting to the point where you decide, hey, look, I need help and everything. First step is like, okay, hey, look, come to us, we got help. And then when the step 2, oh, hey, look, if you just like follow these simple steps, and we'll be able to help you. And so like step 2, oh, hey, look, they got an answer. So step 2 is setting you up like here we go. So if I start doing this stuff and not actually addressing the issues of your mental health, then like it become more and more dependent on the organization of AA. So now with stuff like smart recovery, you actually start digging down into like oh, hey, why did you start drinking? What led you to that? You start getting into the actual causes of what led you to like start going down the path of like that alcohol abuse or alcohol use disorder, like however you want to look at it, because like in DSM you can kind of interchange the two and everything with alcohol abuse, alcohol use disorder. And now here the more and more you get into the actual literature and everything, you get to realize that like there's nothing about these steps, this literature and everything on how to deal with that. And so now, of course, with like smart recovery, you're going to want to deal with professionals like a therapist or counselor that can actually like help kind of like unravel your mind and get you set up in like in a healthy way. So again, I'm going to reiterate, you're not going to want to turn to religion like this for your mental health. You're going to want to get professional help along with doing something like smart recovery. And of course, like I've talked about, like combining other things like using smart recovery and then like the Phoenix program for like your community, like in the fitness-based community, to help better yourself. And so instead of like hey, look, I got like some invisible sky daddy that doesn't necessarily exist, I need to turn my like only he will like be able to restore me to sanity. No, it's actually, it's like pretty much like when you look at it, it's like okay, it's pretty much on you. Like, okay, your mental health is on you, and like, yes, it's not like necessarily like, all on you, in the sense that by like me saying that, like, if you get professional help, you can actually get yourself set up much better. So using things like the smart recovery with the CBT, REBT, and they getting the handbook, they have that, like I mentioned before, they have that like a little like wheel where you can start putting in like each, like in a sense, like a wheel with like a pie chart, in a sense, and each section of the pie is like what you place a value on. Like, could be like a family, friends, health, okay, uh, your work, your job, like all the stuff that you put like a value on, and you can rate it to like a 1 to 10, and then like a kind of like I've said before, like in other videos, kind of like a circle it and see like okay, where do I rank in all the things that I actually put value on. And so it gives you an actually objective viewpoint on how to improve your life and everything, instead of just like, hey, look, come into this religious cult, and like we'll be able to like give some fantasy sky daddy in the sky who won't, only he will be able to help you get out of this mess and everything. That not necessarily like what you need. Is you need like the tangible things that you can sit there and be like, okay, here we go, here's what like I need to start working on. Not like turn my will over to some like I keep reiterating, some like invisible sky daddy that doesn't exist. And like and of course, like, well, it doesn't necessarily when you get into the actual like organization, oh, it doesn't have to be like the Christian God, it can be a fucking doorknob. Okay, so like I turn my will and like over to power greater than myself as a doorknob, or like a freaking like a statue, or your key, or like, again, as I said, hey, look, I found my power greater than myself as my cat. Well, what happens when like since these guys don't live as long as us, they pass away, and like, well, there goes your whole basis for staying sober, because like they could get out and get hit by a car, and like there goes your whole basis to like to recover, to not only recover from like your alcohol abuse, but pretty much moving on from your life. Because as soon as like you do something like that, then like when things actually come up and that you need to address, like the stress of life or whatever. Yes, I know, you need so much attention. Yes, yeah, he's just going to be the star of this video. When things inevitably pop up in life and you can't necessarily deal with it because you didn't set yourself up with the tools and stuff like you see in like smart recovery, then you pretty much set yourself up for future failure, because like you're not actually addressing the issues. Like I used like examples of depression and like schizophrenia, like going to like a couple different religious organizations to get medical help with those. It's the same concept here. So like, why are we going to like a religious organization for help with a mental health issue? And of course, like here, like with step 2, they brush aside like, oh, hey, look, again, only a power greater than ourselves can restore you to sanity. It doesn't necessarily. It pretty much puts you in the passenger seat, like, and resolves you, like, oh, hey, look, it's not my fault that I'm an alcoholic, because like some outside force is like controlling me, and like now I'm placing my like will and my like into his care, and like it pretty much like absolves you of any like wrongdoing and any responsibility, instead of like putting you in the driver's seat, like, which you need to do. Like, oh, hey, look, like, just like going to work, it's my responsibility to go to work, because hey, look, I need to go to work because like I need a paycheck to be able to support myself, so that way I can like actually like have a roof over my head, and I can like actually feed myself. And like it's the same kind of concept. I need to take care of my mental health in this regard, so that way I can actually show up to work and actually do the best job I can. And it pretty much will affect like all the rest of your life. Like, okay, like you start taking care of your mental health instead of just turning like like a good old Jesus take the wheel, like okay, there we go, I'm gonna let whatever happen, and not actually get down to the point of like, hey, look, I need to start taking responsibility for my mental health, so that way I can start improving upon like my work relationships, my family relationships. I can start working on my physical health. I can actually start taking responsibility for myself, and instead of just, no, here we go, I'm going to let the power greater than myself like restore me to sanity, instead of like doing it myself, because like now that doesn't necessarily mean that I do it all myself. Again, I'm going to reiterate, getting professional help, so that way you can set yourself up to actually get better and not like a relapse to the point and make it 10 times worse. Because like I said, when that doorknob or cat or like a power greater than yourself ends up inevitably failing you because of this organization doesn't actually address the issues that led you to drink, then you're going to inevitably fail and set yourself up for future failure, instead of actually addressing the issues and set yourself up for future success. So these videos going through the steps, I'm kind of like, hey, look, ditch this program, these 12 steps, start getting into other things like smart recovery. I only mentioned smart recovery because that's the only what I'm most familiar with, so I'm kind of going to bias myself towards that. But there are other programs like rational recovery and reach out recovery, and I've made videos on that, so you can go back and check on those. So these videos are pretty much me saying, hey, look, get rid of these steps and not get into something that is actually going to be beneficial for you.